Can I call the meeting to order? Good evening, everybody. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Patricelli.
Present.
Councilman Torrentella.
Present.
Councilwoman Diamond.
Present.
Before we begin, I'll ask Mr. Hoffman if you would mind saying the pledge of allegiance to the pledge of allegiance again.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Hey, first we'll read the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mayor, I make a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meetings.
And I'll second that.
Call the roll.
Your Honor, before I call the roll, I just want to remind you that we are approving the meeting for the council meeting minutes of February 20th and also the special city council meeting on February 27th.
So noted. Thank you.
Councilman Torrentella.
Favor?
Councilwoman Diamond.
Favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor. Reports of officers and committees.
From the general manager's offices, the director of finance and I, we certified the budget this year. It's a practice that should be done just after the council approved the budget and after the director of finance makes all the budgetary entries into the system. So we approved that and everything went in according to the way the council had approved. So we're doing a lot of housekeeping items. We're looking at the redesign of our website. Go forward with that to possibly have an employee portal, put some information there that our employees can see directly when they sign in the morning. Some of the other items that we're doing too is moving forward on final plans for the dog park. We have a committee that Councilor Jordan just put in for next Tuesday. We'll try to do the design of that, get moving forward with that, and then we can take those monies out of our SAMs, which is the State Municipal Fund Facilities Program. That design for the dog park will come out of there. We also got the church bids back in. Surprising costs as to what the roofing was going to be.
Surprising high, surprising low.
Surprising high. And there's a low one, so there's a little disparity between the two. So we got to bring the contractors in. One is giving us a $49,000, the other one's giving us a $90,000. So there's a big disparity there. And we only got one heating bid in. Both do not supply electric to the system, so I'm a little confused as to why, because it was in the bid spec that they have to supply a high and a low voltage system for it. But the boiler, just as is, was $13,345, and if we go with the HVAC, we're looking at $21,643. So we'll be talking to those contractors regarding both sections and then decide which way to go from there.
Anything else?
All set by
I do want to make mention that part of the, I was going to ask the fire chief if he was here tonight to mention about the, we are doing preliminary, let's say some research and some discussion on actually the coronavirus and how it would affect here in Watervliet. We've met with the fire chief. We've actually attended the county's presentation down there in the county health department. Both the general manager and I attended that. There's been a lot of different other information that's been disseminated throughout, through those departments and agencies. Meeting again with the fire chief and a designee from the fire department to discuss more, let's say, approaching and some of the protocols that we're going to have here, how we may have to handle it in the future. Nothing, let's say, nothing earth-shattering, just try, no panicking, no nothing like that. This basically just some, let's say, some preliminary tasks of trying to get things in line so we're not looking at each other in the event that it does show up at our doorstep. So just want to kind of like make that mention of that. Okay? All right, anything else? All right, then do we have anything under old business?
Your Honor, first under old business, I'd like to call forward Kurt Jager from Jager and Flynn. Kurt is the Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer, and Jager and Flynn is our employee benefits broker for the City of Watervliet, and he's got a few things that he'd like to discuss with the council.
Hey, thanks, Dave. So what I'd first like to do is introduce the team that I have here. I have Pam Allers, who's also an agency partner, works with the strategic planning with the city. We have Dave Shantz, he's an account executive for our senior services care team. And then Jen Powers is our account manager. I'm going to have each of them come up and talk a little bit about the services that we're here to offer the city and that we're actually in the middle of implementing. First, I want to say thank you. Thank you for appointing Jager and Flynn Associates. We're very excited to be working with the city. You know, one of the things that we said to the city when we came in, what we believe in is, you know, high quality benefits, low cost points, and achieving those without benefit reductions. And I think that we've done that right away with the Medicare program that Dave's going to talk about tonight. I also want to say that I think that, you know, through some of the administrative services through our third-party administration company that we own, with Employee Navigator, which is an online employee benefits portal, our HRA administration, those tools I think are going to really, really enhance the delivery of your benefits here at the City of Watervliet. And I think they're really going to ease the administration processes that you're doing internally going forward. So with that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have Dave come up and talk to you a little bit about the Medicare program.
Look, yeah, let's get those passed out. What we're proposing for the city is to move from the Blue Shield Medicare Advantage plan over to a Humana Medicare Advantage plan. Right off the bat, it will save the city over $56,000 annually in premium and an estimated $25,000 to $30,000 in co-pays. Humana is the second largest provider of health benefits in the Medicare Advantage market nationally, and the number one provider of Part B, D drugs in the Medicare Advantage field. And what I'm going to do briefly is we're going to look at, in that packet, is a comparison between your current plan and the plan that we're proposing. I'm not going to go over all these benefits, but I do want to highlight a few of them. At the very top, under the Humana banner, it's a passive LPPO, and what that means is an LPPO is a local provider, preferred provider organization, and by being a passive plan, that means that your co-pays are the same out of network as they are in network. So it doesn't matter if your healthcare provider is in network for Humana or not, your co-pay is the same. And with this particular plan, as you look down, you'll see that on the health side, there are no co-pays at all. A passive PPO, in effect, creates a national network, unlike your current plan, which is a local network. And then you can see when you go out of network with your current plan, your co-pays very often turn into co-insurances, and they're significantly higher. As the bottom line on the benefits is that again, you will have no health co-pays, which not only saves the city money, but it's also better for your retirees as they've got less paperwork to do. So as examples here, you currently are reimbursing your retirees, your Medicare retirees, $25 or $40 each time they see a physician. Under the Humana plan, that there would be no reimbursement because there's no copay. There's also no copay for the $300 inpatient hospital charge that you have with your current plan. In fact, the city is theoretically, under your current plan, is theoretically exposed to $222,000 in network and $333,300 in and out of network of health copays. Under the Humana plan, that exposure goes away completely because, again, there are no health copays.
How do you come up with that number?
That is, if you, at the very top under the Blue Shield, the out-of-pocket max is $4,000 in network, $6,100 out of network. So if every single one of your retirees
Okay, so
hit that,
okay, so
that's why I'm saying theoretically. But obviously that's
that
not,
never happens.
no. But under Humana, you've got no health copays. The only copays your retirees will have is under their prescription drugs. But even those have been reduced significantly than where the maximum output of copay for any prescription is $40 under the Humana plan, as opposed to the current $90 or 33% coinsurance under your current plan. JFA has placed a number of groups of clients on Humana Medicare Advantage plans, and our results have been excellent. We have had very good feedback, most importantly from our employers and their retirees. The feedback has been extremely positive. So we're really excited to share this and offer it to the city as a possibility in the very near future.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
No, I understand in the event that every single retiree had a catastrophic problem or something.
Right.
Did you do an analysis on what does the current city currently pay on the copays?
We had some issues with the data that was passed on from the previous couple of years. We didn't really have a good hold on our output for copays and coinsurance. I think now moving forward with both our efforts and the efforts of Yeager and Flynn, we're going to have a better hold on that and we'll be able to do a better assessment.
Did you guys do an analysis of that?
Of
Of the cities?
going forward, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Going forward, it's zero.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have a large provider base? And as far as like the pharmacies that are in your plan, at the regular like Walgreens and CVS and all of those?
Yes.
Okay.
Virtually all of your national pharmacies are in network. At this point, pretty much all pharmacies are in network for virtually all Medicare plans, because if they weren't, they'd lose too many customers.
And just to follow up on Councilwoman Diamond's, same thing with doctors, right? I mean, are people going to have to switch doctors?
No, because again, even if the doctor's out of network,
Right.
if they accept Medicare, your retiree can go in and their copay is still zero. And the physician is reimbursed the same amount as they would be reimbursed with a straight Medicare patient.
Okay.
And the discounts available for like hearing aids and eye exams and so forth, are they like substantial discounts or?
They are, but
How
they're
is that?
generally channeled through a specific outfit that Humana is dealing with. That is, with your current plan, it is a reimbursement for dental and for vision, and that, under this plan, they will not get that reimbursement. They will be able to get discounts at
Oh, okay.
specific vendors.
Right, okay.
Dental as well?
Yes.
If this was something the council decided to do, how quickly could we move into this? Do we have to wait until the end of our year, our benefit year?
No, we're looking for, if we can get an approval quickly, we're looking for a May 1st effective date. The figures that I gave you too are calendar year annual savings, so it will be less for a partial year. All right.
I have a question that doesn't affect me, but do you have different co-pays for different tiers of drugs? Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3?
Yes, there are 4 tiers.
So that, and there's a deductible in that also?
No, there's no deductible.
Okay, co-pays are
The co-pays on,
significantly higher for a tier 3 drug than it would be a tier 1?
yes.
Okay.
But again, the maximum copay for even a tier, what other carriers, well, Shield calls a tier 5, is 33% for them. Under the Humana plan, the maximum is a $40 copay. All right.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep. Jen?
Yes.
Hey, I'm just going to give a brief update on the implementation of the employee benefit portal that Kurt mentioned, Employee Navigator. This is an online benefit portal that is meant to ease the benefit administration for the city. It's put in place by Jaeger and Flynn. The portal captures benefit changes, demographic changes throughout the year that employees can make. They can go in, update their address, add dependents if they have a qualifying event, and all of that information is captured by Jaeger and Flynn in the background, and we update that information with the carriers directly. So all of that's taken off of the plate of the city, and we do that for them. And then if there's any COBRA notices that need to be sent out, we also do that as well. And we administer the COBRA, take any payments and process that as well. On February 26th, training was done with Amanda DeLapp, Dave and Mark on the portal. It is live and running now. Dave has been using it, and I think he can attest that it's going well. So that is in place now that we're using for any new hires and, again, any changes that might be taking place throughout the year. We are going to be rolling it out to all employees for open enrollment in the fall. What's nice about that is that all of the open enrollment information, plan information, rates, current enrollments, so employees can actually see what they're currently enrolled in and then decide if they want to make any changes. All of that's on their personal secure portal, right online, that they can access with their families anytime throughout open enrollment and make their election right on the site. The site and all of their information is also available throughout the year, so they can access it anytime, along with the plan information, their elections, all of their benefit information is housed right in one central, online, easy to locate site that they can access through their smartphone or their computer. So that's an update on the Employee Navigator and where we are so far with that. Any questions?
Just have one when it comes to onboarding. Is this going to allow the employee to go in and make the changes for immediate effective, for the next payroll?
Yeah.
Or does someone have to review it first to accept it and then go forward from there?
It does not need to be reviewed. Once a new hire has made their election, City Hall employees will get a notification that the new hire has completed their open enrollment elections. They can go in and capture the information for payroll purposes. It doesn't need to be approved.
It's anticipated that Amanda DeLapp and myself and Amanda Austin need to review and approve.
Any qualifying event, so if someone got married, that type of change would need to be approved, just as it would now. An employee would need to supply proper documentation to substantiate the change. But just a new hire or open enrollment, it won't require approval.
How would the audit be done when, let's say, an employee leaves?
How will an audit be done?
Yeah, when an employee leaves,
Like an exit interview?
exit, but, that it's not on the plan anymore.
When an employee terminates, either Dave or Amanda will go into Employee Navigator and terminate them, and that shuts down their access to the system. It also notifies Jager and Flynn. So we terminate their coverage with the carrier, and we send a COBRA notice to them directly.
But that's me.
Yes, they have to trigger the termination in the system.
Would you also send out COBRA notices for kids who are aging out on their parents'
Yes.
services? Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Thank you, Jen.
All right, I'm the last one, I promise, and then we're done. I'm just going to touch briefly on our administrative system that we're using, which is a large part of the burden that we're removing from the city's office of tracking reimbursements. And so we will have clean history going forward and be able to give you qualified and quantified reports. So Jager and Flynn utilizes one of the nation's largest administrative systems, WEX Health. And we're using that for both the active and the Medicare retiree reimbursements. We started administering for active employees on March 1st. Visa cards are being distributed for medical services. So your active employees have a Visa card when they go in to see their providers that they can use right at the time of service to pay for those co-pays. For prescriptions, they're submitting claims to Jager and Flynn, and that's due to the city's unique setup with your reimbursements for prescriptions. For Medicare retirees, we will be reimbursing the prescription co-pays only, since there are no medical co-pays on the proposed Humana plan. Benefits to the city, no more paper receipts, in-depth reporting capabilities, entire administrative burden of tracking, reimbursing off their plates and onto ours. Benefits to employees, significantly easier system for them to use. We've already gotten some feedback about the Visa cards, how excited people are to have those available. Reduced paper tracking and submission. And when they do submit for prescriptions, it's a very easy process. They can even use their smartphone to take pictures of the receipts and send them in to us. So, any questions I can answer for you? Anybody else?
The prescription, taking photos and sending it in has been very well received as well.
Good.
Everybody's looking forward to that.
How do they do that? They take a snapshot of their own, of whatever receipt they have, and they send it where?
Jager and Flynn has an app
Right.
that goes right into our administration system.
All right.
So once they download that app and they sign up, they have their own personal portal that they can access from any internet connection. Then also from their smartphone, literally snap a picture, send it in.
And it's a direct deposit setup that you
Same for retirees?
Yes.
Sorry?
Retirees can download the app.
Yeah.
Can they handle it? I'm not planning on retiring anytime soon.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next item?
Your Honor, the next item of business is a public hearing. The purpose of this hearing is to allow those persons who wish to be heard regarding local law number 1 of the year 2020. It's a local law to amend the code of the city of Watervliet by adding a new chapter to be known as Chapter 146 Energy, authorizing the creation of a community choice aggregation program.
Okay, I'd like to open up the public hearing now, and would you please mind stepping forward and come to the podium? You'll have 2 minutes to address any comments or concerns you have regarding this action. Anyone first? Kate, would you mind coming up and maybe giving a brief, let's say, summary of it? And maybe that might generate a little questions on it.
Do you want me to go to the podium?
Huh? If you want to, yeah, please.
Hi, this is not on, is it? Sorry. Hi, everybody. My name is Katie Vecchio. Some of you may have seen my presentation back in December, and my colleague Nicole was here in February. So community choice aggregation, there's 13 municipalities in the capital region. Watervliet's one of them. It involves residents and eligible small businesses joining together all over the city of Watervliet and going out to bid, along with the residents in Albany, Schenectady, Troy, Niskayuna, Saratoga Springs. A lot of different municipalities are participating, leveraging the collective buying power of all of those residents to go out and procure electricity supply for yourselves at a lower rate, getting better terms and conditions than you could if you shopped for your electric supply on your own, just, going to different suppliers that are out there. One of the goals is to combat predatory practices. So there's a lot of telemarketers and door-to-door sales that go around and try and get a hold of your electric bill and sign you up. And oftentimes those are not good deals. So this program is designed to give you, Watervliet, control over your electricity choices. So you decide where your electricity comes from. And it's an opt-out program. So folks who don't want to participate will have an opportunity in June to say no thank you. And for those that do want to participate, it's another option in kind of the menu of options you have available to you when buying electricity. This gives you another option to go in with your neighbors and community members to make this purchase as a collective. So it's an easy program to opt out of or to opt into. There's never a fee to get into the program or get out of it. And there's some handouts I brought with me. It just goes right on your National Grid bill, under your supply portion of your bill, so most people won't notice much of a difference.
Nate probably answered this, but you sort of go out for bid, and you just, and you're just going to go with the lowest responsible bidder, correct?
Our bid's pretty expensive, so the requirements we want to put on an eligible ESCO, right? And price is a big one. We want to see their lowest pricing over several different terms so we can get a variety of choices. And we want to see a price not just for just traditional electricity like you buy now, but also 100% renewable electricity, because we know we can really drive down the cost for that by shopping as a group. So we write a bid. We have extensive requirements that this ESCO that wins this bid have, their financial situation is stable, and that they have excellent customer service standards. So, we're trying to weed out those bad players.
Does National Grid bid?
They don't. So National Grid is your utility, and they are in charge of delivering your electricity. They are not able to make a profit off supply. They'll sell you your supply. They'll go buy it for you and sell it to you. But they're not an eligible supplier for this program. So they stay in business, and they're still selling you your delivery charges.
And are you going to get 2 bills now per month?
No, just one bill.
One bill?
Just the one bill.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I ask her a question while she's there?
Go ahead.
Okay, you keep saying the supply, that the CCA supply will be from an energy service company. But in the supply services, there's 4 different charges. The supply, which is one cost, is that the only one that you're going to be concerned with?
So
the other 3, excuse me,
no, go ahead.
the other 3 are additional charges to the amount how much I'm paying. All right? They fluctuate the same as the cost of the. Do you change yours as well as the way National Grid does?
That's a good question. No.
And who sets the ESRM and who sets the merchant cost?
So, and if folks are questioning what we're looking at, it's just right on this handout that I have up front. So it's a little miniature version of your bill. So the merchant function charge is right now what National Grid charges you, the fee they charge you to go out and be your shopper, to go and get the supply for you. They are allowed to charge you a fee. That fluctuates that goes away under this program because the fee to have the supplier sell you this electricity at a certain rate is built in. So you won't see the merchant function charge goes away. The ESRM is a strange thing where, so right now when you pay your electric bill this month, when you open up your bill, you don't know what you're going to pay, what price per kilowatt hour until you open that, because you don't know they don't know what the electricity is going to cost you until you use it. National Grid buys electricity on the spot market and sells it to you for whatever it costs the moment you use it. So the ESRM is a way that they are able to true up the charges they imposed on you last month to make sure they charged you what it cost them. So they're strictly passing through costs for procuring your supply. So on this bill, that 0.06378, that's a little, 6.37 cents a kilowatt hour. If you go look at this month's bill, last year's bill, this month, it varies, right? It's going to change. It's going to go up and down. Some months it goes sky high. Some months it stays pretty low. So that's the portion that's going to be fixed with this program. That rate, whatever it is, times the number of kilowatt hours you use in your home, won't change for the term of the program. And there's no additional fees that come on there. I'm not sure about the tariff surcharge. I'm not sure what that's all about. That has to do with the utility tariff.
I've been fighting with them for years over it.
Over the utility of the tariff surcharge?
Yeah.
I noticed the delivery charge went down because I had that.
Okay.
The truck pulling up around my house and charging me $90, I never see a truck. It's going down about $60.
So that's where National Grid as a utility company makes their money. They own the asset, they own the infrastructure to deliver the electricity to you, and that's what they charge you to maintain, right? And we can't impact that under this, because they're the ones that own the infrastructure. But we can impact that supply portion.
So the answer to my question is, the only thing we should see on our bill under your program is an electricity supply. There'll be no additional merchant fee or ESRM.
That's correct.
Or in the tariff, you had no idea.
Well, the word...
Tariff surcharge.
Right. I'm not sure what that pertains to, but I can find out for you.
That fluctuates too, by the way.
Yeah.
It was 0.06, 26 less.
Good to know.
What about the natural gas?
This program does not pertain to natural gas. So it could in the future, but right now we're just talking about electricity.
My opinion, I'm not interested in saving pennies. I'm interested in saving dollars, mainly the delivery charge. That is a big issue. First of all, I don't know how the public service approved that, but evidently they did. So my focus is on delivery, not the cost per kilowatt. That makes sense?
No, I understand. That's the bigger portion of my bill at home too. Less supply.
So in reality, I'm really not interested.
You have a question?
Yeah, I just, with this aggregation, so it's not just Watervliet buying for us, it's Watervliet, Nisky, and Troy, and everybody buying for us?
Yeah, so the way that the aggregation works is that we go out to bid on your behalf, right? So if it was just for Watervliet residents, we would have a number of eligible residential households and small businesses. These are the businesses that use less than 2,000 kilowatt hours a month. So it's the smallest ones. But the way we do it is we build an aggregation by joining together communities. So, as far south as the village of Kinderhook and as far north as the city of Glens Falls, we've had interest across this ISO load zone, and you can all go out as a group to go shop together. So I don't know how many eligible households are in the city of Watervliet, but we're potentially going out to shop for 90,000 households. So you as an individual house owner or renter going to a company and saying, give me a price for electricity. We go out and say, give us your price for electricity for these 90,000 customers and bid against each other, right, to win this business, which helps brings the price down. And oh, by the way, we want the flexibility to say anyone can leave the program at any time and come in at any time. And there's never a fee because we're 90,000 people, 90,000 accounts, we can drive that kind of bargain. That's what gives us that power to ask for those terms and conditions in the marketplace.
And what are the priorities of this aggregation? I mean, is it price? Is it green? Is it, what is it?
So there's a lot of benefits. And most of the communities that came to us say, we want to get competitive rates and stabilize prices, okay? A lot of the communities in the capital region were focused on this as a way to help give residents the ability to purchase 100% renewable electricity if they want to. Because alongside just a regular electric price, we also give an option for renewable. So those are the main reasons. And the fourth reason really is protecting communities from predatory practices of energy sales, telemarketers, door-to-door. This guards against that because you're all in a program that nobody can pull you out of it. You can choose to leave it if you want. But the door-to-door salespeople aren't going to be able to scam you into signing up for something that you didn't realize you were signing up for. So it's all of those priorities. It's the ability to go green, stabilize prices, to save some money, potentially, and to protect consumers. Does that answer your question?
Any other questions?
Would there be any kind of discount if you have a residential and a business account? And an offset or something?
No, it's going to be the same price for everyone, and it's just for that service class residential meter as well as the small commercial service class. Also, I would mention, within those service classes, houses of worship and nonprofits, a lot of Elks Lodges and community centers, those are sometimes service class residential to get the benefit of the lower rate. So, yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay, sure.
Would they be automatically included in that group?
Essentially, yeah. So once we go out to bid and we have a number of those that are eligible, then the city officials get to decide. They look at the pricing and they say, do we want to do this or not? And what's the offering we want to give to everybody? Is it the green offering? Is it the standard mix? And then we go out and do a round of education and outreach again to tell you the price and the terms and how to opt out if you don't want to participate. So we really push it to help people understand that this is going on, because we don't want anyone to be taken off guard or feel like a decision was made without their knowledge. We're really trying to educate the community about this as another choice.
One more question. Right now, as the price of renewables was coming down and the price of other things were going up, where is it now?
That's a good question. And everything is so in flux right now. The markets are kind of going very volatile. I was just listening to the marketplace on my way here. A lot of volatility in the markets. So I don't know right now. Renewables pricing has come down significantly over the years, and it can be very competitive with the price of just traditional fossil fuel mix generated electricity. We're very hopeful that with this size of an aggregation that we have with so many participants, that we'll get competitive pricing and a really attractive price for renewable electricity for those that want to support it.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
If there's no other further questions, I'll close the public hearing.
I got a question.
Okay. That would be
Louis Murphy, IP. Time of Spectrum cable, internet TVs, town. I paid $1,500.
well. Excuse me. If it's not related to the actual.
We got to bring it up because it's terrible through the whole city. I mean,
Yeah, we can at the end of the meeting, but
okay.
For the public hearing, I need to concentrate just on.
I never been in one of these.
That's okay. That's all right. I just want to make sure if there's questions on the electricity, this purpose of the public hearing. There's no. Well, we close the public hearing and we'll just continue on now.
Okay. Your Honor, the next order of business is a resolution that was tabled at the last meeting. It's resolution number 9726. The Council of the City of Watervliet hereby approves an intermunicipal agreement between the City of Watervliet and the Village of Green Island for water supply and sale, and further authorizes and directs Mayor Charles B. Patricelli to execute same.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we move on this resolution.
I'll second it.
We'll get this discussed now. Who wants to start?
Well, I know we've been working with the Village of Green Island for the past couple of weeks trying to get this concluded. There's been, the resolution before you shows the MOU that has some questions, I think, that the various departments were working through. We'll walk you through some of the questions that are currently existing with the village. Where you look at the term of agreement, we did some due diligence on our behalf, and we looked at the years to be a minimum of 5 or a maximum of 5, because we're getting into a business that we don't know what could be the impacts on our city. We haven't been in the water business. We're looking to sell water based on a conversation with the village for connectivity, and we don't know what the impacts will be on our facility. We don't know what it'll be on the volume. So we looked at this based on the previous administration and some of the agreements that were floating out there at the time. We can navigate to a cost per gallon of $1.65, and we feel comfortable that was a number back in the day when it was presented. The original term they wanted was a 40-year term. And through Council's office, Mark with me as well, and Amanda, we thought that 40-year term was too constraining. It was out there too long, carrying out the cost too much. We didn't know what the volumes were going to be, and therefore we had a lot of questions. So we reduced that term to 5 years. The village right now is looking at a maximum of 20. They're taking it out based on a probability of maintenance on their systems. We have concerns that that's too long. So we keep it at 5 under this MOU, and there may be opportunity for consideration to try to change that a little bit as we discuss further. We also show a maximum use or an excess of 1 million gallons per day. The village says to us that they could reduce that to 500,000 because that's their daily usage. But again, it's putting a little bit more, a lot more pressure on our system, and that's why the MOU we see today, I think, could be further discussed. Do you want to?
Yeah, so right now we move about, from our standpoint, about 2.1 million gallons per day through the filtration plant. Part of that 2.1 million is a maximum of 500,000 that goes to the arsenal. So an additional 500,000 obviously would, tax our system. I think our concern is that, it's this in relation to Manans also wanting to purchase water from us at another 1.5 million gallons. And, our filtration plant is rated for 6 million per day, but that rating came out in the 1950s. So we're not real sure about, from a capacity standpoint, do we have the ability to do that, number one, and the ability to maintain that. So when we talk about the time, we want to make sure that, number one, us pushing water to somebody else, even though we're selling it, isn't adversely affecting our water quality for our residents and for our customers, which primarily would be the Watervliet Arsenal, who's been a customer of ours from inception. So, we're very cautious about the amount of time that we put on this from the aspect of we don't know, we've never really entered the water sale business. We don't know if we're going to be good at it, and we're concerned about locking into a long-term deal not knowing that. I think Green Island's push, and it's obvious that they're putting in an interconnect which allows them to draw water from our filtration plant, so it's finished water. The town of Guilderland pulls water from us, but it's raw water, and they pull about 2.7 million gallons per day. Reservoir capacity isn't necessarily our issue. Our issue is how much can we move successfully and optimally through our filtration plant. And when we start talking about pushing more water through and more demand on our system, you know, we're good at what we do right now at 2.1, but you have to keep in mind that there's more washes that have to take place at the filter plant, there's more chemicals that have to be added, so, you know, we want to make sure that we're pricing it effectively, and that, you know, our capacity is at a level where we're comfortable adding on these new customers. So that's why we kind of shied back from 40 and kept it at 5. You know, Green Island is putting in some significant expense, enduring some significant expense, putting this interconnect in, and I think they want to guarantee their expense from, you know, having the ability to use our water. So I certainly understand, you know, the capital that they're putting into and them trying to get 20 years out of that capital project. You know, I certainly understand their take on this, but, you know, our concern is that we want to make sure that we're good at this before we lock into a long-term deal.
As well as protect the interests of the residents.
Is there something happening now where Green Island and Manans get their water that they both want to come to us and buy water from us? Where do they get it now? I'm just curious.
Well, Cohoes on the north end, where more of the industrial area is, that is from the city of Cohoes. In the south end of town, they actually have wells that they use and send through their filtration plant to use for drinking water. So they get it from 2 areas. Majority of Manans comes from the city of Troy. And, you know, I think, to be honest with you, I think both of them are looking for, you know, something to bargain with their current water supplies. You know, it may be a fact that we enter into these agreements and nobody draws any water from us, but they have the ability to draw water. But we can't take that chance. You know, we have to be prepared for whatever the agreement says. We have to be prepared for either 500,000 per day, or we have to be prepared for 1.5 million, or both. And, you know, when we start talking about those numbers, we need to make sure that our infrastructure can support that.
How did you leave it with the Village of Green Island? I mean, if they want a 20-year plan and we're stuck at 5, have you guys come to an agreement?
No. We're still maintaining the 5.
So then is it your intention to table this while your negotiations continue, or vote on this?
Well, the pressure we're receiving is that they need to go out to bid and start the installation based on the contract that they have. Yeah. And that has to happen by the end of the month. Right. Not that we need to be pushed into an agreement, but I think the council had an idea as to what we possibly can do through the course of at least passing the MOU and negotiating that term.
Yep. Okay.
Has a drought been calculated in your need for supply? Is the meter supplied to get a drought?
Well, I think what they kind of want to say was that the first priority is the residents of the city first, and the second thing, my understanding would be, you know, any agreements outside of the city after that, Green Island and Manans. I would assume that the arsenal would take precedence over.
Yeah.
If you make a commitment, you're obligated to commit to what the agreement is.
Yeah, I think that's kind of our concern, Mr. Eubank, is, you know, making sure that we can deliver the amount of water that they're expecting without adversely affecting our current residents and our current customers.
I kind of think that's why they're skittish about signing on to a 20-year. They're a little bit.
So
skittish is not the right word. That was a good word. But cautious.
Right. I mean, ideally, we have in front of us a draft of an agreement that is acceptable to the parties that have discussed this and reviewed this with respect to certain terms. And as you heard Mr. Lasavita, there's some pushback on, you know, certain provisions in the agreement. So to get to my point, I mean, the options that I believe that the council has at this point in time is to approve the agreement as it is and send it to Green Island to determine whether or not that is going to be acceptable to them upon their board's approval and execution by their mayor. Number 2 is to not pass it at all and to adjourn it as what we did, you know, the last time. Or third is to, approve the agreement, subject to further negotiation, review, and revisions and approval, by the general manager of the issues that were, certain provisions in the agreement that were discussed this evening. So it's an agreement that can be approved by the council in substance, but we know what specifically the issues are that potentially could be revised in the agreement. So the council, I believe, would be giving the authority to the general manager to review those, to negotiate those, and to agree on those certain changes, and then would be presented to the mayor for execution. Obviously, it would be, distributed to Councilwoman Diamond and Councilman Torncel, but I think those are really the three options that we have.
Yeah, I think if you don't approve it, you're tying their hands in any
Right.
kind of negotiation. Right. You're tying their hands in any kind of negotiations. And I think it's something we certainly want to pursue, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we want to look into it. We want to kick the ball down the field and examine it, right?
So really, as the agreement is written, we have two kind of areas of contention. The first is the time frame,
right,
and the second is the gallons per day. As it is right now in the agreement, it's 1 million gallons per day. Green Island has agreed to reduce that to 500,000 gallons per day.
All right.
And then 5 years versus 20 years.
Go ahead.
Wasn't it just a couple months ago that we saw a whole presentation on how the filtration plant is crumbling, needs repair? There's certain areas that are just not usable, and we were trying to get all this grant money to get that fixed. Why don't we fix our own house first before we go out and help all these other people? Because it's going to come to the point where the filtration plant is going to crumble. It's in disarray, as we saw in these pictures that was presented to us. And
The facility itself is in solid shape, as far as the production and the filtering of the water. The structure itself, a lot of the, let's say, I don't say it's the cosmetics, but some of the walls, the veneer, the maintenance has to be improved. There's other work that needs to be done, but as far as being able to handle the capacity and to filter the water, that still is pretty much set.
Yeah, I think our infrastructure is strong enough to support this. I just want to make sure that we're not biting off more than we can chew as far as the gallons per day come out.
It isn't anything to do with the building itself, in a sense, or what's inside the building that's doing the filter.
Yeah, and to keep in mind that, there's the opportunity for revenue from this, which allows us to, so right now we have $3.2 million in a grant for a $7 million project. Some of that revenue can be invested back into the filtration plant to make it even stronger and to maybe open up more of these avenues for us. So, we certainly don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're putting the water quality for anybody at risk, and we wouldn't be entering into this if we thought that was an issue. I think our issue is we're going from where we are now, possibly having to up it to another 2 million gallons per day, and can we handle that kind of capacity? We prefer to kind of enter this into a little bit slowly, which them reducing it from 1 million to 500,000 gives us the room to do
Will this reduce
that.
anything that we're paying for water now?
I'm sorry?
Will this reduce anything that the citizens right now are paying for water and sewer?
Not right now, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
But it would be, in the future, if they were to use it, would be revenue to the fund. So that's what it would be. And also you have the Gilliland problem with the real estate, the tax assessment that we have to contend with, and so there's some good expenses that are out there yet.
By the way, it's pretty good revenue.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not pennies. It's pretty good revenue if it gets up and running.
Yes.
We wouldn't do this if it was only pennies. We're doing it for dollars, right, Mr. Dumas?
How old is that facility?
1915?
Yes.
1915.
My grandpa worked there for 30 years.
When this was proposed a year ago, this connection, it was going to be done if Green Island had a problem, then they would take our water and pay for it.
Correct.
You're making it sound like they're going to just start taking water all the time. without an emergency being in their system.
Yeah.
Is that going to be in the agreement? Or is that going to be an understanding that this is an emergency connection only?
It's my understanding by what's in the agreement right now, the way the agreement is written, that we need to push them be prepared to push them 500,000 gallons per
At their
day.
request anytime?
Correct.
Okay.
So I can't say that they're gonna open the tap and start running it. They may never do it, but we have to be prepared for that to happen.
One last question. Does the arsenal pay for water?
Yes.
Yes, they do. And just to make it clear, the Arsenal went through some major renovations this past, year and a half to actually save and cut their use of water. They do a lot more recycling and they don't use as much water as they did before, which means some of that revenue is going to go down. I don't know, has it gone down already, do you know, man?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's already gone down because they're looking to save money as well. All right. So, looks like we have 3 doors behind door number 1, 2, and 3. Right. So is the motion, you made the motion?
I made the motion, yep.
You want to?
I will, I guess I'll, again, make the motion to adopt resolution 9726 as written.
With the ability for the general manager to negotiate the terms and conditions of term and volume?
Yes.
Okay, so that'd be door number 3.
Okay. So the resolution, so what I'll do is, there's a motion on the floor to amend the resolution that it's subject to, correct, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Subject to further negotiation, review, and approval by the general manager of certain provisions contained in the agreement as discussed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll second it.
All right, seeing we discussed this all together, we'll call the roll.
Councilman Torncello?
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricello?
In favor.
Your Honor, that concludes old business for this evening. Moving on to new business, we have local law number 1, a local law to amend the code of the city of Watervliet by adding a new chapter to be known as Chapter 146 Energy, authorizing the creation of a community choice aggregation program and adopting certain provisions to facilitate program implementation.
Mayor, I make a motion that we move on local law number 1.
Second that?
Okay, we discussed this already, went through the public hearing. Is there any further discussion that we need to have? Okay, then call the roll, please.
Councilman Torncello?
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricello?
In favor. And Kate, if this is the way it is, the next step after this is what?
On the next page, you will approve the resolution. So, once we get the filing letter from the Department of State that they've received your new local law and the certified copy of the resolution and all the paperwork we submit to the Public Service, Department of Public Service to get approval, go ahead and go to bid on your behalf.
And when will the letters go out to the public?
So we'll go out to bid in April, get a price by the middle of May. You guys will make a decision around May. 30 days out, following your decision, we do education and outreach, so the letters will go out about the middle of June for an opt-out window this summer and enrollment by the end of the summer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next,
The next order of business is ordinance number 2023. It's an ordinance of the city of Watervliet authorizing and directing David Wheatley, city clerk and clerk to the council, to publish once a week for 3 weeks in the official newspaper of the city pursuant to provisions of Section 30 of the city charter, the proposed sale by the council of the city of Watervliet of 2112 4th Avenue, Watervliet, New York 12189, tax map 32.59-2-10, and that a public hearing will be held on March 26, 2020 at 7 p.m. at the J. Leo O'Brien Senior Citizen Center, Watervliet, New York, concerning the proposed sale of the property, at which time all persons interested may be heard in opposition or in favor of such proposed sale of the property.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we move on ordinance number 2023.
I'll second it.
okay.
It's the property on Fourth Ave, and it's going to be
Yes.
foreclosure. Just a
So you
foreclosure.
ask what kind of property this is vacant land or?
Hold on, Mr. Ely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this ordinance number 2023, it's a rather lengthy ordinance, but the sum and substance of the ordinance is authorizes our city clerk to advertise in the city's official newspaper for 3 weeks that the city intends on selling 2112 4th Avenue in the city of Watervliet, which is a single-family residence that the city is the owner of at this point in time. So this ordinance authorizes the advertisement of the sale. It schedules a public hearing for citizens who are interested to be heard with respect to their position on the proposed sale of this property by the city. It sets forth requirements of how the property is being sold as is. There is a sample contract that is attached, or that is part of this ordinance, and the Form D that would be used. So essentially there's an advertisement, there is a public hearing, and then there's also going to be an auction that is going to be under the direction of our general manager on, I believe the date that's in the ordinance, April 2nd of 2020. So if anybody would like a copy of this draft ordinance, please contact me, telephone number or email. But that is the sum and substance of what this ordinance is for the advertisement, scheduling of the public hearing, and for the auction. And if there is a successful bidder, then that individual or entity would execute a contract, but it has to be, that person or entity would have to be approved by, there's going to be another ordinance, a confirming ordinance by the council to approve the successful bidder. Okay? And that'll come at another date that's contained in the ordinance. Is there any question?
From March 26th, which will be the public hearing,
Right.
and then the approval of the sale, right, to approve the sale, to April 2nd would be the auction. Are we planning on having walkthrough showings? How's that being handled? Well, I mean, somebody's going to want
To
to...
buy the stuff as is.
Yeah.
You don't usually, you're going to let fix liability issues. I don't know about that. Usually when you buy a foreclosed piece of property, you can look in a window maybe, but that's about it. You can't get inside.
So I was going to say, does the successful bidder have to submit some kind of a plan as to what they would do with it?
Sure.
But they wouldn't be able to do that unless they knew what was wrong with it, is that right?
Well,
Does that
yeah,
make sense?
I mean, I think you would get the building is safe enough to walk in, right?
Correct.
So it's safe enough to walk in. It's not like it's falling down around you, that'd be a liability. But I think you would probably get more interest and higher value out of somebody who looked at it and said, oh, I can handle this, and this is not a bad turnaround. I mean, if you're taking it on a sight unseen, you're looking at it as being, hey, look, I'm not going to bid a lot of money on this without knowing what I'm facing. We have a minimum bid in there about, what, 20?
Yeah, the minimum bid is
It's 26.
$20,822. And part of the requirements of, and I understand, just to add I mean, there's a lot in here, but one of the important aspects of this also is as a condition precedent to bid, the interested bidder would have to submit rehabilitation plans for the property. And that's part of what the general manager will consider, obviously, along with the bid.
And that's what I'm kind of thinking about, because if you're talking about the 26th before, are we going to let anybody in there before the 26th? If you're going to, or wait till the 26th to the 2nd, you don't have a lot of time to come up with a rehab plan.
I mean, I don't, I agree with Councilman Twintel as far as, not allowing, entry. I mean, certainly we have insurance, it's insured. I mean, there is documentation, I believe, that the city can put together. I believe that there was an evaluation that was done, previously by an engineer with respect to the identification of certain aspects with respect to the property. But, I mean, I'll certainly leave that up to, the council and the administration as far as how you want to proceed in
Well,
that.
look, I think we can discuss that at a later date. We can discuss that issue. As far as publishing and going forward,
Yeah.
I'm all in favor of going forward and doing that
Right.
right now.
Okay.
And then we can discuss whether or not we can
Could
make-
photos be
make-
made
make-
available to
make
people who are
arrangements and things
interested? I
like-
mean,
things like that.
would that suffice instead of
You have something?
pictures?
I, just speaking from,
Yeah.
the knowledge of the house, I don't see a reason, unless there's a liability issue, I don't see a reason why they cannot go in the house. We had.
With an appointment, with somebody, with
Yeah, right, I
all
mean,
that stuff like
if we
that.
set a date and a
Yeah.
time to
Yeah,
say,
just
hey,
like
you
a
can
public
walk
showing.
through the house, yeah,
Like a
absolutely.
show, like an open house?
Open house or whatever, or
All right.
we do bid walkthroughs all the time,
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. Where are we?
I'd
Ordinance?
like to state that any prudent person wouldn't buy a house unless they could get into the basement and check the foundation, the minimum.
I agree.
Second of all, my next question, is the city willing to give title insurance when this property is sold?
City?
That's on the buyer.
Yeah, that's the buyer.
So any person who buys, any person or entity that buys property as part of the purchase is going to seek the services of a title company to obtain title insurance to make sure that title to the property is insurable and also marketable.
Well, the reason why I said it is because I bought property from the county. Back then, they used to supply anything over 2,500, county would supply title insurance. But from what I understand, they have changed that now. The onus is on the person.
The onus is on the successful bidder.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. If there's no other questions, we'll call the roll.
Councilman Torricella?
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricella?
In favor.
Resolution number 9728, the Council of the City of Watervliet hereby adopts a public education and outreach plan and CCA opt-out letter, and the plan and letter will be provided to the CCA administrator and New York State Department of Public Services staff charged with reviewing on behalf of the NYSPSC for incorporation into the CCA program implementation plan.
Mayor, I make a motion that we move on the resolution.
I'll second it.
Discuss this, but is there any further discussion on this? Call the roll.
Councilman Torricella?
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricella?
In favor.
Resolution number 9729, the Council of the City of Watervliet hereby authorizes and directs David Wheatley, City Clerk, and Clerk to the Council to advertise once in the official newspaper of the city that the city will be accepting sealed bids for 9th Avenue Water Replacement Project. Bids will be received at Watervliet City Hall, 2 15th Street, Watervliet, New York, 12189, until 10 a.m. local time on April 9th, 2020. And the City of Watervliet reserves the right to waive any informality in or to reject any or all bids submitted.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on this resolution.
I'll second it.
On the question?
Yeah, so this is part of the lead service line replacement program on 9th Avenue from 19th Street to 16th Street, where we'll be installing a new water line in that area. And our engineers will be preparing the bid spec, which should be ready, they're thinking around March 30th, but this gives us the opportunity to go out and advertise the bid.
Any other questions? Okay. Call the roll, Dave.
Councilman Torricella?
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricella?
In favor.
Resolution number 9730. The Council of the City of Watervliet hereby approves the Paychex Flex Time Agreement between Paychex Incorporated and the City of Watervliet for access and use of Paychex internet-based time and attendance software application called Paychex Flex Time. This also includes the lease of a time clock and further authorizes and directs Mayor Charles V. Patricelli to execute the same.
Mayor, I make a motion that we move on the resolution.
I'll second it.
So We already use paychecks currently for our payroll. And this is essentially allowing us to have more use of their system. Right now, we're doing paper time cards for people, and we're hoping to move away from that.
So like a swipe card or a punch card?
This particular one is a fingerprint time card. And in the future, there will be ability for some employees to log in online and record their time that way.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this is also part of the FRB recommendations?
Correct.
So we're moving forward on the FRB recommendations that was part of the agreement we have with the state.
Correct.
Is this log them in and log them out each day? Or is this just logging in, I work 8 hours and log back out?
The time clock itself is a fingerprint, so it logs you in and out.
Isn't there some union agreements that don't allow that?
I'm not sure that they specifically don't allow it.
You better check the union contract.
We'll take care of that. We'll look at that next.
Log you in the morning, log you out at night, right?
You do it pretty much now.
You do it now.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Any other discussions? Anything? No. Okay, call the roll.
Councilman Torrенcello?
In favor.
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patriciello?
In favor.
Resolution number 9731, the Council of the City of Watervliet hereby authorizes and directs David Wheatley, City Clerk and Clerk to the Council, to advertise once in the official newspaper of the city that sealed bids will be received in the City Clerk's office of the City of Watervliet, City Hall, 215th Street, Watervliet, New York, 12189, until 10 a.m. on March 26, 2020, for a financial and administrative data processing system to serve the current and projected needs of the City of Watervliet.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on this resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay.
It's just a slight correction. Instead of sealed bids, we're going to send out a request for proposals, so they would submit proposals. So just a slight correction in the wording, that's okay. But it's fine.
Amanda?
So if you've come to any financial presentation that I've given in the since I've been here, you've heard the needs of our city for a financial software that can accommodate what we actually need. And I'm happy that we're moving forward. This again was a recommendation from FRB. There are some funds available, $300,000 to move toward, up to $300,000 to move toward a software that works not only for financials, but we're looking at modules for building and code, the clerk's office, fleet management, work orders, that type of thing. So we will be accepting bids for them.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Torrенcello?
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patriciello?
In favor.
Your Honor, the next order of business is resolution number 9732. The Council of the City of Watervliet hereby approves an intermunicipal agreement between the City of Watervliet and the Village of Manans for water supply and sale, and further authorizes and directs Mayor Charles B. Patriciello to execute same.
Mayor, I make a motion that we move on the resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay. Same deal as, same as we talked about, right?
Same as- All the usage
Right.
is higher here. You got
Usage is higher.
1.5 million here
Okay.
with this agreement, but the term is still 5 years. They have not questioned the MOU at any point.
Okay, so 5 years is fine with them?
Yes.
There's a couple other clauses that we have in here that I think insulate us a little bit more than the Green Island agreement. We have almost a due cause termination agreement where if we see that the capacity is exceeding our water quality standards, that we can terminate it as well. I'm sorry?
Or cut back.
Or cut back.
Or cut back.
As well as renegotiate the rate every 2 years on this contract.
Every year?
Every year?
Every year?
Every year.
Is it 1 year or 2 years?
So set of billing rates
No.
will be subject to review each year.
Each year.
Each year, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the language in here is that the city and village may terminate at any point in time is in both of the agreements also.
Okay.
So in the event that there's an issue, that gives the ability to terminate the
It's in
agreement.
the Green, you're saying it's in the Green Island
Green
also,
Island.
well, right?
As well, yes.
Do we have a connection to Manhattan?
Yes.
May I ask a question?
Probably about 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
3 years.
3 years ago.
Does the city have an insurance policy to protect themselves on the clarity of the water? In other words, if a municipality was to get sick because the clarity of the water wasn't proper, are we protected somehow?
We have a clause in the contract that says they agree to accept the water as we purify it. So they agree to accept it as the way we push it to the interconnect. If there's any additional chlorination that needs to be taken place through Department of Health, they would have to handle that.
Thank you.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Torricella?
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricielli?
In favor.
Resolution number 9723, the Council of the City of Watervliet hereby approves the Memorandum of Understanding for Regional Transit Signal Priority Treatments between the Capital District Transportation Authority and the City of Watervliet, and further authorizes and directs Mayor Charles B. Patricielli to execute same.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 9733.
I'll second that.
Go ahead.
So this is a contract with CDTA that is beginning a bus rapid transit route that begins in the city of Troy and ends up in Albany, but it comes over the Congress Street Bridge, takes a left on 2nd Avenue, 16th Street, takes a left, goes down to Broadway. This allows them to put some technology on our traffic lights and inside our traffic signal boxes. And with that technology, they can time the route, so they'll see their buses and how quickly their buses are passing through on the route. It also gives them the ability to affect traffic signals, either speed them up or slow them down based on how quickly those buses are going through the route. Half a second, second. So it's not, they won't keep it green for 10 minutes until the bus gets there. It's based on the timing of the bus and as it operates through those intersections. The interesting thing is, this technology is also available for our emergency vehicles, both our police vehicles and our fire vehicles. And they would actually have the opportunity to use that system at a later date in order for us to safely travel through those intersections when we're operating under emergency operations. It actually gives us, it gives CDTA the ability to move those buses through the city streets in a more rapid transit, in a more rapid fashion. There's only 2 stops in the city. The first is at 19th Street and 2nd Avenue. 2nd Avenue just south of 19th Street, and the other is down by the Elks at 6th Street, 5th Street and 3rd Avenue.
They do this, do they do this daily? I mean, do they take an analysis and then change the lights, or if they can change them as, you know, as the morning traffic indicates?
Yes, as needed. If they see that their bus is slow and they can pick up a 1-second advantage on that one traffic light, they'll do so.
The entire Central Avenue corridor commonly has that bus route.
Has that bus route.
Yes. It works out very effectively.
Is there any advantage to the city?
Yes.
What's that? Financial advantage?
No financial advantage.
All right.
So we have the ability to harness this technology for our emergency vehicles. And we also are gaining on the bus shelters additional cameras that we will have access to in order for us to ensure security of our residents and CDTA patrons at those bus shelters.
Okay.
Thank you. Did you have a question?
Where is the internet coming from, and out of the boxes and the microchips inside the motherboards that are pull up those boxes and control the lights?
Comes from CDTA.
The internet itself?
Yeah.
Where they're getting their internet from Spectrum?
I'm not sure where they get their internet from.
That is it's all on the same line.
Are you asking me or telling
The
me?
entire town's internet is having an issue.
Okay.
And that's going to bottleneck you.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, that technology only changes the lights. So if they don't have access to it, it's really not our problem. It's their problem.
It sounds like there's a lot of mounting technology that's advancing right now within town, to city hall, everything. And the internet it's not gonna take it. The infrastructure we have in the town of Watervliet is not as powerful as you guys think it is. I can shut down.
We can talk, I know you want to talk about the internet in a minute, but we're
But
just
it's all
talking about,
tied together. It
right,
really
yeah.
is. City's growing, think about it,
Right.
gonna need this.
I get it.
Infrastructure is like needed right now.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's all tied together.
If there's no other discussion on this, I'll call the roll.
Councilman Torricella?
In favor.
Councilwoman Dunn?
Favor?
Mayor Patriciello?
In favor.
Resolution number 9734, the City of Watervliet hereby adopts the New York State Deferred Compensation Plan for the voluntary participation of all eligible employees.
Mayor, I make a motion that we move on the resolution.
I'll second it.
So, just a little background, this originally started with the previous financial director, an employee in one of the departments who had transferred from a different municipality, approached Mike McNabb at the time and suggested moving, and when I became director, I kind of picked up the ball and I'm running with it. There's about 1,900 local public employers that are part of this plan, including Troy, Colony, Lee, just to name a few. We currently use Nationwide. A lot of employees are unhappy with Nationwide. It was suggested this particular plan, and it's a different type of plan. Nationwide is a model plan. This is a state deferred compensation plan, so it's a little bit different in that they don't have employees that are looking to sell something, where Nationwide is looking to sell something to make a profit. This is not the same thing, so their fees are lower for the employees. The city doesn't pay anything either way, but it's something that will help our employees with their fees, and also with availability. There's a particular person who's been assigned to us, and he's very reachable. There's been complaints in the past about our Nationwide representative and her availability, and it seems like something multiple employees have asked me to do, and in addition to that, the city has a fiduciary duty to go out to bid every year on deferred compensation plans. Moving to this plan, we no longer have that fiduciary duty. They do it for us, so it helps with that as well.
It's a great plan.
It is a great
plan.
It's a great plan. I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
Anything else? Call the roll.
Councilman Torricella?
In favor.
Councilwoman Dunn?
In favor?
Mayor Patriciello?
In favor.
Your Honor, that concludes the business for this evening.
Are there any appropriations in the county?
Not at this time.
Right,
I
no.
did, actually, I'm sorry, I did send out the check report just before the council meeting, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me.
Can we look at them now and let's go over it? I saw that.
I mean,
Line by line?
if you want to go through it now, we
We'll go,
can.
yeah, we can go back. All right, thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
All right, I'll open up the public comment period now. Dave?
At this time, the council has authorized a public comment period. If you wish to address the council, you must step forward, state your name and address for the record, and you will have 2 minutes to address the council on any matters you wish.
Hold on, Paul. Hold on.
There you go. That's okay. How you guys doing today? I met these guys before. My name is Matthew. I live at 411 3rd Avenue, guys. And I'm a big deal video gamer, right? And I stream, and I'm getting more professional into iRacing and other types of simulators to, in the future, get more into it in real life. Be able to have the money to build a race car. I have to be able to practice while I don't have the money, things like that. Alone, at my house, just my Xbox, I can pull crazy numbers of the download speed, and I'm shutting and crashing the networks down. As it is, they can't even give me half of my internet that I pay for.
Who's your provider now?
Spectrum. I would love to just get this entire problem by bringing in another provider into the town, such as Verizon, which already has lines laid throughout the town, fiber lines. We all know light travels faster than noise does through a copper line. And with all the new graphics cards and internet and just everything coming out with motherboards, CPUs, we got 64-core Threadrippers now coming out with that can thread 128 times. We have a i9 that can single thread faster than even this Threadripper. And then you plug up RTX 2080 GTX or RTX 2080 Ti.
This is English, right?
You're speaking.
Yeah, I'm speaking tech talk, I'm sorry.
Right.
This is just modern gaming technology. Modern gaming technology.
Okay, right.
If you plug it onto their infrastructure,
Right.
you can feel me down here from down there.
A train moves faster through Watervliet.
I'm serious. I can take all the internet at my house and you won't have any. That's why I was addressing that. I'm all for our emergency services getting to what they need to get to faster than they can get there. If I could teleport in there, I would do it. That infrastructure is going to crumble and your lights aren't even going to work. And that's a problem we need to address. The upload speed isn't here. To upload any of your data across the network, you have 35 megabytes of upload speed. You need like 500 for even your infrastructure. You're like a professional business line. We need to upgrade it bad. Right? It's even the noise that they experienced the other day in the Arsenal. I know it was all over before they even were over it. Talked to the tech over in front of Popeyes. That noise was affecting the internet 75%, and it was boosting the latency problem so high that I was getting like 75 milliseconds of latency to my router modem. But the Spectrum will come out for some reason and lie to me and say they're giving me a test at 900, and then it goes back down to 300, and they would leave knowing it's not working anyway. So I'm just like, I can't work with them anymore, period. I need to come to you guys about it, and I don't want to pursue legal and lawsuits or anything like that, because I have too much anxiety to deal with that. I don't like to be in front of courtrooms, I don't like to be around cops, none of that stuff. If we can get this done without any problems, that'd be great. And I'm sure the rest of the town would appreciate Verizon Fiber being here. I used to have fiber at Archibald Street. Great. I had latency times of 0.8 milliseconds. Download speeds 1,000 over 1,000.
Is the answer Verizon?
Yes.
All right.
Do it.
Verizon's Fios.
And I won't have to leave the town. Please.
Fios isn't going anywhere.
Matt, what is your,
We've already,
I don't think, did you give us your last name?
Murphy.
Matt Murphy?
Yes, Matthew Murphy.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Always. And
Appreciate it.
if you guys need any information or any help regarding this, I would love to help you guys out. Because there's a lot of things that are evolving that, with everything regarding internet, we're going to need to keep up to date with it because it's changing every day.
Okay.
What the download speeds we're going to need to require and all that stuff. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Can I
much.
say something on this topic? Yeah. Stand up there, can I go right here?
no,
We'll have him. Go ahead. Yeah, just come on up here and state your name and address, please.
Name's Lou Murphy. I'm at 411 3rd Avenue, Watervliet. I've had Spectrum to my house 27 times. Rewired the house, the modems, outside the poles, made people's internet go faster for about 3 days. They come to my house. I pay for $940. I pay $1,500 a year. And the train that goes through at 5 o'clock in the morning goes faster. It crashes. My wife goes on her phone. His internet crashes.
Hey, Matt, excuse me. Can you wait a minute?
Yeah, sure.
It never stays stable. I'm paying for $940, and it's $300. The guy was at my house Saturday. I had $650 to $7. Now I ain't $9, but I'm paying $130 a month. If we go any lower, the internet don't work.
I mean, it's not going to work, period.
Now, is there either there? I have somebody in my 1880 house that don't like the internet from the past. He grabs my internet and he just said, no, we're not using internet in this old house. It works terrible.
I did fail to address. You got the
And they've been there.
coming out too.
I mean, I got a picnic in my backyard with a baseball game. All these guys have been in my house, and again, I just had them again, and I haven't had them in a while. It's not stable. It's like something's there, and it's just. Well, if you go on your website, you can see everybody complaining about it. It's just, it should be here 9, not 8, not 9 and dropping to 3. You know, it's not right. It's not working. And I think the infrastructure is just, they took over Time Warner. Time Warner, you know, outside, you go down to Florida, you get 30 megs, stuff's in the ground, and it runs fantastic down there, but around here, it's terrible.
And it's mainly to do with the copper lines that they laid, that they still use around here. They're really old, and they never replaced them. But I did want to address the fact that the new generational consoles are coming out, like the new PS5.
We'll talk later. I mean, we can go on, we could probably do this for next 3 days on it, but I get what you're saying. We'll discuss, we'll get to the bottom. I'll ask you for your email address and phone number, that way there.
Call me anytime you'd like to.
If you can leave it here, I'll take care, you know, some communications with you. Is there anybody else who wants to speak?
One more question. 2 blocks from where I am is Verizon Fios. From 3rd Avenue up, sits right there.
Okay.
You know, and it's the same prices as Time, and actually, you guys don't want to hear this, the Spectrum's going up 30% next year. They just told me that at the phone.
Okay. All right, then, we'll take it from there.
What does the public service have to say about this?
That's one of the things I was going to mention. It's really got to go. Some of that is out of our control. Some of it will be the public service.
We got to go on that.
Paul Uban, 1500 12th Avenue, Watervliet, New York. Public safety issue. Yesterday, on my way home, in front of Highland Tank, 2 youths were laying in the road. Very scary situation. Other youths next to them, I guess they're playing chicken, running across the road in front of cars.
What time, Mr. Yvonne?
Approximately 3 o'clock.
Right, as they were leaving after school, just getting out,
Yes,
right?
yes. As I make the turn, usually there's policemen at the school on the bottom of 12th Avenue monitoring students coming out of the school. Unfortunately, that particular day there was no one around. It could have been busy or whatever. I'm not criticizing, but I think it should be noted what is going on. And maybe something could be done to monitor the situation. That's all I had. Thank you.
Anybody know, just that one time?
Just the one time,
All
yes.
right.
Actually, yesterday.
I hope it doesn't happen a second.
Yeah, yesterday I was going up 24th Street around this time. It was about 3:15 going to get a late lunch. And same thing, kids were coming right off of that 12th Avenue way, halfway down, right in the middle of the street, playing, dot with me. And so I just sat there and waited, for a couple of seconds. So I think it is an education.
You're going to talk to the chief. Recognize something to the chief. Frank? Frank, back. Thank you.
Good evening, Janice Douglas, 1436 First Avenue. Wanted to find out if we have some kind of a water testing thing in place. My water is kind of bleachy to the taste, so maybe have a water testing kit that is available.
Yeah, well, we can have our water department supervisor.
Okay.
Can I just get your address again?
Sure, 1436 First Avenue, River.
What's the best way to get a hold of you?
I'm sorry?
What's the best way to get, we can send somebody out,
yeah,
just
right.
call to make sure you're there,
Oh, what, myself?
We'll get you after.
Yeah, we don't want it
Before
on
you
the
leave.
record, but just make sure before you get.
Any other comments?
Any internet?
No.
Can I talk for a second?
Oh, actually, we already had your chance for the.
This is something else.
I understand, but yet you're.
This is very important.
Can you grab us after the meeting?
I can grab you
Sure.
after the
Okay.
meeting, all right? Appreciate it.
Thanks, Lou.
If there are no other comments, I'll close the public comment meeting, and if there's no other further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Torricello?
In favor?
Councilwoman Donovan?
In favor?
Mayor Patricello?
In favor. All right, thank you, everybody. Don't forget, the next meeting is the March 26th. It's not the third Thursday, or first and second, it's